In this lesson, we'll take a look at the Bevel and Edge Loops tools. To save a couple of steps, I've already tabbed into Edit mode and selected all the vertices on this cube. My toolbox is also expanded so we can read the names of the tools alongside the icons. Here's a quick tip about the toolbox, or any menu like this. If you want to make your buttons smaller or larger to fit your screen more comfortably, hold down Ctrl, then hover your mouse over the toolbox, hold down your middle mouse button, and just move it up or down. They should shrink or grow accordingly. And when you're satisfied with the size, just let go. Let's now select the Bevel tool. This yellow gizmo appears. If we left-click on it and drag away from the object center, chamfers will form and then expand on all the edges as we drag away. Don't drag too far though, because the mesh will get pretty messy very quickly. As soon as you let go of the mouse, the bevel is set. And we can take a look at some of our tool's properties. You should be able to see some settings for the Bevel tool on this shelf just below the menus. If you don't see this, you can go to the View menu and tick Tool Settings. This is universally where you would set your tool's parameters before using it. If you want to see the changes dynamically, you can open the Action Performed Last window, which appears as soon as you've used a tool. Firstly, we can isolate the bevel to affect vertices or edges. By default, it's set to edges because this is the most common use for bevels. The width type has a list of various ways the new chamfer is measured. You don't need to know all the differences yet, but some types will alter the input below. For example, the width is currently set in a unit measurement under offset, but if we change the width type to percentage, we now control the width of the chamfer by a percentage. I'll return this to offset, and we can type a number in the width field. The bevel will snap to that exact value. You can increase or decrease the number of segments, changing this chamfer so that it becomes a fillet. The profile shape ranges from 0 to 1, 0 being completely concave, and 1 pushing the fillet out to its original edge position. We can skip most of these other settings for now, as they have various specific uses that you'll visit in more advanced courses. But we will take a look at the last part here in a moment. First though, I'm going to tab back into object mode, delete this beveled cube, and add a fresh cube. Shift A, Mesh, Cube. Bevel has its own hotkey, Ctrl B. Using this hotkey means that you can be in any other tool and add bevels at any time you want while in edit mode. Let's practice that now. We'll select this cube, tab into edit mode, hit number 2 to switch to edge select mode, and just select one edge. Now hit Ctrl B and drag your mouse to create the chamfer. You'll notice that when using Ctrl B, the gizmo isn't shown, and any settings you had the last time you used this tool should be repeated. You can change these back by opening the last action window and adjusting them there. While we're in this window, let's now take a look at this last setting, Profile Type. It's currently set to Super Ellipse, but the custom setting will allow you to draw a custom profile for the bevel. We have some presets to choose from as well, so I'm going to select a fairly complex one to demonstrate right now. Now, it doesn't seem to be working. That's because we currently have only one segment in our bevel. We will need to increase the number of segments so that the custom bevel has more topology to interpret, and we can get closer to this profile. There's plenty you can do with the Bevel tool, and hopefully you'll feel more comfortable using it as you progress. Next, let's take a look at the Loop Cut tool. I'll create a new fresh cube, tab into edit mode, and then select the Loop Cut tool and hover my mouse over the cube. A yellow line should appear that wraps all the way around the cube, and depending on which edge you've put your cursor closest to, this could be along this ring, this one, or this third ring. Blender is looking for a consistent loop to place its cut. You can left-click and create the loop cut, and now we have added new edges and vertices and split these faces into two new loops. I'm going to demonstrate this on a different primitive mesh this time. I'll move this cube over, and then I'll add a cylinder. Shift A, Mesh, Cylinder. My last action window should show options to tweak this cylinder's parameters. I'm going to lower the vertices down to 12, and I'll leave the caps as n-gons. I'll tab into Edit mode and select Loop Cut from the toolbox, and I'll mouse over one of these faces here. If I mouse around the middle of the cylinder here, a loop cut will appear that goes right round the cylinder. That's really no surprise. But what happens if we shift our mouse to one of these edges near the cap here? The only edge loop we see is bisecting this single face, and it doesn't wrap around the cylinder vertically. To understand why, we need to see what's going on with its topology. An edge loop is a continuous path of collected edges that follows a closed loop. Related, an edge ring are the edges here bridging these loops and forming quadrilateral faces, or quads. Loop cuts split edge rings to create new loops between existing edge loops. Therefore, placing a loop cut between them will go all the way around. However, the caps are 12-sided n-gons. No edges exist between these points to bridge that gap. Here is a great time to test our knowledge of a tool we've already used to bridge these two faces and close an edge loop. I'll select my knife tool. Then I'll click on this vertex here and extend my cut to this vertex. It should snap, and then I'll hit Enter to cut an edge between those two vertices. I'll do the same between these two vertices, and this should form a new quad bridging these two faces. I can do the same on the bottom. I'll rotate my view first with middle mouse hold. I'll also hit Alt Z to toggle into X-ray mode. This will allow me to see the obscured edges more clearly and make two more cuts here and here. Now let's use the shortcut key for loop cut, Ctrl R. If we hover our mouse over this new face, we'll see the loop cut crosses over the top of our cylinder, down the opposite side, and meets up back around. Okay, I'm going to toggle back out of X-ray mode with Alt Z and rotate my view right way up. Using hotkeys sometimes gives you some extra options that the toolbox doesn't. For example, if I'm using the loop cut tool via the hotkey Ctrl R, I can scroll my mouse wheel up or down and it will increase the number of loop cuts across this ring. Let's not go too overboard. I'll scroll my wheel back in the opposite direction to reduce them down to something more manageable, let's say around 3. If we click now, the edge loops appear, but if we move our cursor, they're sliding along the face. You can use this to slide the loops into a better position if you need to, and the status bar down here gives you some options to control that. Control can incrementally move them. Shift can do a precision move. You can also just right-click if you don't want to shift their position at all and have them sit where they were cut. Even now, we can take a look at our last operation window and tweak the settings even further. We can increase or decrease the cuts again to a very specific number. We can also tinker with the smoothness, and you should see how this can inflate or deflate these new loops according to a fall-off. The fall-off drop-down gives you control over the type of fall-off that you can expect, and the factor will slide these loops between the boundary loops here. There is a hidden tool in the Loop Cuts tool, and that is the Offset Edge Loop Cut. This one's a little trickier, and it does have its uses, but to briefly explain, if we select a loop or a number of loops, then click and drag, you should see two edge loops appear either side of this selection. You now have about 5 tools that you can play with in edit mode. Try them out on a more complex mesh. See if problems arise. And if they do, ask yourself why. Maybe it's a problem you can fix with, say, the knife tool. When you feel confident enough, or made a sufficient enough mess, let's get on to the next lesson.